What's up, everybody? Spare with a Gun here from Sleepless with another episode on Space Engineers, which is back with another update. This one is not all that large, but very, very significant. And it adds three major things, and that is multiple hotbars, which you can see in the right above the normal bar. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, which you use the comma and period buttons by default to cycle through. So you can have more than one set of bars now, which is pretty awesome. That's fairly self-explanatory. I mean, you could have one that's your, toolbars and weapons and all that kind of stuff. So, like, here's your building one, and then you can cycle over and have your player character one, which has all your tools and stuff like that. So that's pretty handy. That'll no doubt come in handy and be very useful for like builders and pretty much everybody, actually. And I'm sure this was necessary given the next thing. The next thing is that now you can control. Oops. What was that? Gyroscope? Maybe you have to be in the ship. Now you can control things. Yeah, here it is. So you actively can see all of the parts on the ship when you go into your list here. And when you do that, you can also basically drag these things to your hotbar to do different things. So for example, this has one large thruster on it, it looks like. And I only see one large in the list. So we can increase thrust override, so large thruster forward, increase thrust override, and then put another one that's decrease it, right? So now it's idle, but if I hit 1, it's not going very fast. Oh, there it goes. I can speed it up, right? So we can move, and then you can turn it all the way back down by using the other key. So that's a really handy tool. I mean, that's a very simple example of how to use it. Actually, this ship is probably a better one to use because it's a bigger ship. So there's more parts to it. The other thing that has been added is the ability to shoot through rotors. And what I mean by that is you can fire weapons that are attached to rotors. You're no longer limited to anything past the rotor can't be fired. Gatling gun is... Oh, yeah. Not available for large ships. So give me this one. So say we put 2 rockets on here, right? Actually, you know what? Let's move this up here. That'll be easier to deal with. So we're in this mode, right? Now what we want to do is go in here, and again, here's your weapons list. And I believe, this part I'm not positive about, but I believe this goes in order of what was placed first. I think. Because you can't, like, move them around by the looks of things. So I think it's what was placed first. But so let's put... You see all these different options. And you can also throw these 2 in here and then adjust these later. So, for example, I want 1 and 2 to be... reset velocity... Let's set both of these to increase velocity. We'll set 3 and 4 to decrease velocity, and in this way we can turn them left and right. And then we'll set 5 and 6 to reset, which should make it back to 0. So 5 and 6 are our turn-off buttons. And then 7... Actually... we can just remove these and select 7 as our weapon, right? So what does this mean? Well, if we hit 1 and 2, they turn. If we hit 3 and 4, they stop because now it's back to 0. And if we hit 3 and 4 again, they rotate back. And if we hit 5 and 6, they both stop. So in this way, let's say we want 1 to come back. And now we'll close that. 2 to come back. And then we'll set that. So, and you could tweak all of these as far as, like we showed in a minute ago, you can have them set to increase the height, upper and lower limit, braking, torque, reverse, so we could have one set, instead of going back and forth, we could just have it for reverse, things like that. But this also means, say we hit 1 and 4, we could have them face different directions. I think. No, wait. 3 and 2. So 3, 2, like that. And then they'll both fire. So this is a really cool new system that we can use in terms of having turrets and stuff, because you could have, you know, say I want to target a ship that's over to the blue antenna, or blue 2 antenna's horizontal position. Obviously I can't go up without having a different rotor set in, but you could... Oops. 3. You can move it over here. Okay, now it's in place. Fire the missiles. Oh, it's a little off. Let's move it back. You know, so you can have these be like an actual turret defense system. Now granted, these aren't automated. And this isn't the only way you can use these, but it is a good example of how you can eventually end up using these for things like a turret system, or being able to shoot behind you and have them on a swivel, things like that. For example, let's do a multi-dimensional one here, like this. And then what we'll do is let's do like that. Actually, I got a better idea. I think, oh no, oh well, no, crap. Well, let's try it on this one, shall we? Alright. So what I'm thinking... Now, granted, this, to be perfectly honest, this has kind of already gone through the extent of the update. As you can see in the patch notes, it really wasn't a lot to cover. They're just really big elements. Control blocks through toolbar, fire weapons attached with rotors and pistons, multiple toolbars, and then network optimization. That's all they did this update, so there's not a whole lot of new stuff to go over. It's just a lot that it actually can do, and it will be really interesting to see how all this gets implemented in terms of how people use it and things like that. So what I want to do is add... Can I build off these? I can. So I'm curious to do something with a nature like so. Right? And then let's put, since we can use Gatling guns and they won't, you know, blow everything up, let's do something like this. Oh, one more? Now granted, this is probably not the most optimal design that you would actually use if you were really building something like this in a survival world or anything close to that. But for testing and just attempts at stuff to be creative, it works fine as demonstrational purposes is basically what I'm trying to get across. Doesn't need to actually work 100% correctly. Okay, so we've got these two. Whoa, let me turn. Dang it. Alright, so we've got these two. Now, let's get rid of this. right? And these 4 are our new ones. These are our next rotors. So we did these 2 and then these 2. So we want to add this one, which is, let's see, increase velocity. Let's add another one, oops, that is reverse velocity, and then reset. So that should handle all that. I don't know why that one is rotor 2, but whatever. Kind of the same thing here. We want increase, reverse, and reset. And again, you could go in and change the limiters and all that kind of stuff if you wanted to. Actually, what I'm going to do is use this as an example for the different ways you can do things too, or for the hotbars. So what I'm doing here, if I'm thinking correctly, is these 2 should be the horizontal and the vertical. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. It's 3. Right. So that's how... I hate the camera in here sometimes. Stop trying to go into the cockpit. There we go. Stop it! I don't know why it keeps doing that. Quit it. The camera keeps freaking out. Anyways. So like 1 and 4 increases velocity, 2 and 5 reverse it. So 2 and 5, nope, nope, this way. And then 6 and 3 will kill them and stop them. So in that way, then you can have just Gatling guns selected for this. So let's see, we want 1 and 4, then do 2 and 5, and then 3 and 6. Whoop. Now, this is an important thing to note, too. I don't have the braking set up on the rotors, so when I fire, it's rotating them, which you wouldn't really want to do. So I have horizontal set up here. Oh wait, that's right. So for vertical, you'd grab these 2 and kind of do the same thing. We want increase velocity. Now for this one, I'm going to change it. I'm going to do increase velocity, reverse and reverse, and then reset and reset, and then do this one. Okay. Now, so that I can fix this, I am going to go into the rotors and set the braking all the way up. This way, they shouldn't move. Okay, there's just too much torque then from the guns. I was wondering if it was actually the how fast it will accelerate, braking strength. Yeah. So it's just because there's too much power put down on the guns. So we're tabbed over, so we want... Okay. So let's do 1 and 3, and then 5. Like so. Now, it is important to note that I'm testing right now with this and finding whenever you increase velocity, you can't pre-reverse it. You would have to put a decrease velocity setting, which is easy to do. You have enough, another 2 slots, so you could easily do that. Let's see, 2 and 4, and 6? Why is it not stopping it? Alright. I think I messed something up here. It should be this one. So remove that. Somehow I think I got the other rotor mixed up. There we go. Alright. So like that. So that sets those back into place. And then we can go back and do... Let's see... Like this... And then... like this. So, obviously, this is something that, A, you'd have to get really familiar with your control schemes as to how you would set it up. And B, you would also have to be very aware of everything as far as how you wanted your rotors to move, have them set perfectly, if you really wanted to use this in terms of a, let's go attach it to your ship and make it a functional way of attacking. It's not something that you could use all those different settings for on the fly really fast unless you really knew how to do it. But as far as potential goes, the potential is phenomenal. I mean, I'm kind of expecting to see people doing, you know, things that can walk now, because you can basically numpad all of the rotors instead of having to go in and adjust them all manually. And things of that nature. Autopilot type of thing, you could have it set up to thruster override conveyor systems. You could control what ejectors you wanted to put out where. I mean, it's another one of those features that it's a simple thing. It's really not a big deal. But in the terms of what gameplay it opens up, it's astronomical. I mean, being able to do things on the fly with your hotbar with numbers, and being able to use weapons through rotors now, and pistons. That's the other big thing that you could do, is set up things like if you had a piston here and then had a rotor and just a block, you could put rockets here. Or, well, I would say any kind of weapon, really. But because we're on a large ship, we can only use rockets. So from here, let's go ahead and set the rotors braking up high so that we don't have a problem there. But you can set the piston to reverse. It's defaulted to a certain... it defaults to a certain speed already. I think it's like 0.5. And then this we can do increase velocity, decrease velocity, and reset. These are just toggle on block or using conveyor systems, so we'll go ahead and grab this. So from here, let's see if we can figure this out. One would raise us, and again, you could increase the speed, and it would also make you go up or down. So, I mean, you could have an actual turret system in place, essentially, if you wanted to, like, man the turrets and everybody goes out and extends them or whatever. And I put the cockpit up here for ease of use, but you don't necessarily have to do that. You could put it down on the base, or we could even use that one down there. I'm just doing it for ease of control, you know. And then you can rotate around. We're going to turn the piston off just so we don't get any wobble like we did in my survival stuff. And I mean, this is really easy to use, and because the weapon systems are selected the whole time, you can be firing the whole time, which is pretty epic. You know, so if you're trying to track somebody... Oops, didn't mean to do that. And you can even speed it up and hit it multiple times and speed yourself up a lot. Which is pretty epic. I might have to get me one of these. So as you can see, again, you know, it's not a super amount of things to talk about. It's not like it's, you know, look at all of the different features they've added, but these 2 to 3 features are just really game impacting. Like, you can, it kind of changes a lot about how the game is played, essentially, because you can build new things and new machines and new ships that can do stuff they couldn't do before, that weren't options, you know. So anyways, on that note, I think that'll about wrap it up for this update, so I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace!